Over the course of the years, I've been working as a filmmaker, videographer, content creator, YouTuber, whatever kind of title you see fit. I have spent thousands of dollars on camera gear that I thought I needed, but I didn't actually need. But I've also spent thousands of dollars on camera gear that I really appreciate to use every single day. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about in today's video. So if this is your first time here, I just want to say hi. Hope everything is good with you, va? My name is Peter and I'm talking a little bit about camera, tech and other good stuff, som vi säger i Göteborg. So if that is your vibe, then don't forget to hit subscribe. And I also want you to remember that these are my personal opinions. So if you don't have the same opinion as I do drop a comment down below and we'll have a discussion about it. Let's jump into the things that you should not buy as a beginner. The first thing is a gimbal. I know, it sounds weird because I am a huge user of gimbals myself, and over the course of my career I've been using a gimbal to get plenty of different shots for the videos that I have created. By doing so, I also know what I need a gimbal for and when I need a gimbal. Now, most of the cameras that's on the market today actually has such a good image stabilization that you don't need to have a gimbal when you're starting out. There's no need in actually going out and grabbing a gimbal and going through the hassle to learn how to set up a gimbal, how to use a gimbal, what the gimbal is going to be good for, unless you have a specific use case. If you are making YouTube videos, if you're just trying to learn how to create content, having a gimbal is most likely just gonna end up on the shelf. And as I said, I've been using a gimbal for a lot of different things in my career, but for a day-to-day use case, I never actually use the gimbal. I mostly, like 99% of the time, go for a handheld kind of look because I think that that looks better. That's not to say that a gimbal is not good. It's definitely gonna be one of those things that you spend a lot of money on, but don't actually use as much as you thought you would use it. The second thing is an external monitor. Having an external monitor sounds like a great thing because you're gonna be able to see the entire image that your camera captures in a bigger format, but there's also a big hassle of setting everything up when you need to go out and shoot. It all depends on what it is that you do. Like, I purchased an Atomos Ninja 5, I think it was 5 years ago at this point, and I used it once. Ever since then, I haven't used an external monitor other than the Monitor Plus app in my phone, because honestly, it's more than good enough to use this rather than trying to buy an external monitor for the use cases as a beginner when you're just getting started with making videos. But then again, when you move up to, cinema cameras such as the FX6 and similar cameras, then I understand the use case because you don't have a monitor built in to the actual camera, so you need to have something external. But for something like the ZV-E1 or the FX3, I think it's kind of useless in the beginning. Not to say that there will be some people that find the use case to be freaking fantastic for them, but this is just my personal opinion. Number 3 is going to be ND filters. I know, you're probably thinking, well, Peter, I need to have the 180-degree shutter rule. It needs to be like 1/60th whenever I'm shooting in 30 FPS and so on and so forth. I get it. You want to have the motion blur that is, the perfect frame rate for the video that you're capturing, being able to, drag down the shutter speed, drag down the aperture so you can shoot wide open. And yes, it looks beautiful. I'm not gonna say that it doesn't, but in the beginning, you can just crank the shutter. You can learn how the exposure triangle works, play around with the aperture, combining that with the shutter and ISO to get the image that you need. And I gotta be honest and say that for the last year, I don't think that there's a lot of people that can point out and say like, well, you did not use an ND filter in this video. Because for the last year, I haven't used an ND filter for any of my vlogs or any of my videos. I just try to crank the aperture whenever I can because I find it easier and more challenging to get the right kind of look with the camera without any accessories. But when you're moving up the ladder and you start shooting client work and you want to have a specific look to your videos, that is when I think you should invest into a good ND filter. And whenever you do, make sure you get like a big ND filter, so you can buy step-down rings so that it fits all your multiple different lenses. Numero 4 is going to be a camera cage. I thought it was a great thing to have around my camera to make sure that I didn't dent it or drop it and it wasn't as prone to damages, but most of the time it actually just took up way too much space in my camera bag. I didn't use the mounting options on the camera cage when I was starting out, so I don't really know why I had the camera cage to begin with. And I never rigged up my camera. I actually think I made a video once where I bought all the things that I wanted to have to my camera, I rigged it up, only to realize that I'm never going to use this. It basically just adds bulk and complexity to your entire setup that you might not want to have when you're starting out. Und Nummer 5 is going to be an FPV drone. FPV is fun. I love flying FPV, and I've had so much fun learning how to fly FPV, but it's gonna be an expensive freaking journey for you if you jump down that rabbit hole. Not only is the drone's gonna cost you a lot more than buying, a regular DJI drone, but the batteries, the GoPros, and everything that you're going to crash, like there's so many different things that will happen on your journey. So it's gonna be one of those pits where you just stand and throw dollar bills at. And it also has one of the steepest learning curves of anything that I've tried within the filmmaking community. Now there will be people watching this video saying like, well, FPV is great, you can get way better shots with FPV than you can with a regular drone. And I do agree, but it's also like you gotta see the budget. So if you wanna buy a Cine lifter, which can lift an FX6 and then put a gimbal on that, you can do that. But if you crash that, it's gonna be freaking expensive for you. Not only to say that the entire setup is gonna be very expensive. So grabbing something like the Mavic 4 Pro instead and capturing similar shots is probably gonna be the better option. And I also do think that the shots that you get with an FPV drone has very limited use cases. They look incredibly cool, and it feels like you're flying a freaking fighter jet, but you get tired of it so fast. And I'm also gonna give you a couple of rapid fire ones right now. Follow focus, top handle, mat boxes, dummy batteries, accessory arms, shoulder rigs, sliders, audio recorders, and the list goes on and on. But most of these things have a place in your career as a filmmaker and videographer, but they also come at a later date, and it's not aimed towards a beginner or someone that is, in the beginning stages of their career. But if you actually learn how to use camera to its fullest without all these accessories, you're gonna have a much bigger head start than most people that are moving into the business. So with that said, what is it that I do think you should buy as a beginner? Well, the first thing is going to be a compact camera. My personal favorite is the Sony ZV-1. The reason that I think a compact camera is one of the best things that you can invest in when you're starting out is because it's not too expensive, but it still gives you the option to learn how a proper camera works with the ISO, the shutter, the aperture, the zoom lens, and so on and so forth. And it gives you this opportunity to see if you're actually gonna be interested in this or if it's just, one of those other things that was cool to try out. And the second thing is going to be a drone. More specifically, my personal favorite drone is going to be the DJI Mini 4 Pro at the recording of this video. Having a drone that is sub 250 grams means that you can send it up pretty much anywhere to capture the shot that you want. By having a drone in your arsenal, it also provides you with a different perspective for the videos that you're making. I have been using a drone so much in all my videos and my vlogs, and it always provides me with an extra dimension that makes it feel more produced. And most of the times I feel like just sending it up, flying for like 10 to 15 minutes is enough. But then you also have so many different shots that you can use in your videos. Being able to offer that to clients as well is a great thing when you move in that direction. Number 3 is going to be a good microphone, such as the one that you're hearing right now, which is the DJI Mic 2. For a very long time, I was using the Sony shotgun mic, the Sony EZM B1M, which I'm still using whenever I'm out and about and doing vlogs and recording stuff on the go. But whenever I'm here in the studio, I mostly go for this microphone, mainly because it's easy to use. You can record internally and then sync it when you jump into the editing process. But you can also record straight into the camera with like the entire setup that you got on top of the camera. And it's also great if you're doing podcasts because then you have 2 microphones, and then if you're doing interviews, you can just put one on you and one on the subject. It just makes things so much easier than trying to figure out what microphones that you should use, or should you have a boom microphone that is, angled towards the person, and is it close enough? You just place it here and then you're good to go. And number 4 is going to be a subscription to Artlist, which is also the sponsor of today's video. I've personally been using Artlist for the last 6 years, and they have so many different things that they offer on their website today that they did not have back then. Not only do you have the stock footage, you have the LUTs, you have the plugins, you have the sound effects, you have the music, and so on and so forth. But now, kind of recently actually, they dropped the AI function. So you can do voiceovers for your videos with AI, which is insane because it sounds so freaking good. Listen to this.
I certainly hope that you're having a fantastic day.
What? And now they have something that's called voice to voice, which is basically giving you the possibility to change your voice if you want to make different kind of videos. So if you feel that you want to have a nice voiceover, but you don't like your own voice, then you can just take your audio clip, upload that to the voice to voice feature, choose the audio or choose the voice that you want to have, and then generate that and include it into your videos.
Because right now you're listening to my voice, but it's actually AI generated.
Which is kind of weird. Like, I don't understand how this works, but it's some sort of computing magic.
That I think is freaking amazing. And also gives you way more depth into the storytelling of your videos because you
can be in control in how everything is pronounced and said and tied together.
But it's not your voice. So it makes it feel like you have a freaking big voiceover team in your arsenal if you want to add that.
And being able to combine that with royalty-free music onto your videos is something that is gonna be golden for you as a creator. I'm gonna drop a link in the description that you can use to sign up for Artlist. If you do, you're gonna get 2 months for free. Und number 5 is going to be an interchangeable lens camera. When I'm saying an interchangeable lens camera, I don't mean that you should go for the biggest, baddest full-frame lens camera that there is on the market, because there's so many different options that you can get. You have the APS-C, you have the Micro Four Thirds, you have full-frame cameras, but my personal preference is going to be the Sony ZV-E1, mainly because I think it's easy to use. It's simple, it has a bunch of different features that you want to have as a creator when you're starting out, but it also has a full frame sensor with interchangeable lenses. The cool thing is with Sony's system, in my opinion, the E-mount, is that if you are buying an APS-C lens, it also works on their full frame cameras. So if you don't have the money to splurge on full frame lenses, you can go for the smaller lenses to begin with, but still have the body of a full frame camera. And if you go for a full frame camera, you're gonna be set for the next 10 years, because full frame is probably going to be the standard for most things that people require in the coming decade. Nummer 6, a tripod. A steady, sturdy tripod. It doesn't have to be expensive at all. Any kind of tripod that is sturdy, that is steady. My personal favorite is the Peak Design Travel Tripod Carbon Fiber. Super expensive, I know, but it's also one of the things that has lasted me 4 years without breaking, and I'm using that thing almost every single day. I am bringing it into airplanes, I'm throwing it into the car. It is just a tank of a tripod, and I am so freaking glad that I invested the money into it. Having a carbon fiber tripod was important to me because I wanted to reduce the weight when I was walking around with my camera bag. In general, just a good tripod that is sturdy, simple to use, that you can bring with you on a daily basis so that you actually use it. If you get it too big of a tripod, you're not gonna bring it with you. Trust me on that. Number 7. This is probably gonna be the most important thing as well, because without light, we can't capture anything. And if you're in the beginning stages and you want to make videos, one of the things that people tend to neglect is investing money into good light. The light that I'm using right here is a Nanlite Forza 300 watt light. But the fun thing is that it's only at 9% whenever I'm recording this video. So what I would recommend is getting something that is probably a 60 watt light, preferably the Nanlite Forza 60, together with a 60 centimeter softbox. You don't need to have anything bigger than that when you're starting out. Maybe if you're doing some interviews and you want to have that super soft light. I've used that in my previous studio and I've used that over the course of these years. Eventually I just downscaled to make everything as simple as possible. Smaller footprint, looks better, and it works just as good. But the best part with having a good light is that it will improve your video quality immensely, no matter what kind of camera that you have. And there you go. Those are my top things that you shouldn't buy as a beginner and the things that I think you should buy as a beginner. I would love to hear your opinion on this because I do have a feeling that there's going to be 2 different camps, right? Or maybe multiple different camps. Do drop a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Do not forget to subscribe and I will see you in the next video.